Everybody, we are back for the last segment. We saved the best for last. Tyler is talking to us about a sport that none of us really know about except James because he kind of works at, I guess, soccer, right, Tyler?
Yeah, soccer or football, as it's called in every other country in the world. So I wanted to talk. Well, first of all, I want to say one of the reasons I'm talking about soccer is because it's winter and baseball isn't around, and I have nothing else to talk about. And it took me like a long time to figure out what to talk about. I was just like looking up things to talk about, and I was like, you know what? Let's talk about soccer. We've never talked about soccer yet, and I kind of want to talk about why we haven't talked about soccer because it's just not popular in this country. And I wanted to look into that a little bit. Like, let's talk about why soccer isn't a bigger sport here in the United States. So first, I kind of want to dissect as why that is. And I think the number one reason is just the culture of our country and soccer just don't mesh. And there's a few reasons for that. I think that the first reason is that America and Americans like being the best at everything. And in soccer, with the exception of women's soccer internationally, men's soccer, we are not good at all. So I think if we're not good at it, we don't really care. You know, you look at sports like basketball, baseball, football. We're clearly the best in the world at those sports. Even hockey, trading, you know, I think we're competitively kind of number one. Obviously, Canada's number one, but we're really competitive in that arena. But with soccer, we're just not, straight up not. So I think that's part of the problem. So I think that the U.S. isn't even close to being the best. I think we also just love big things in this country. And I think that those other sports are just big sports, big athletes, big scores. Soccer, smaller athletes, smaller scores. Just doesn't really work.
Baseball.
But even baseball's got big guys, big home runs. They're hitting big fly balls. And even
so does Man U, dude. Man U, you got these big hulking dudes who just
but they're
destroy you. What are you talking about?
But the final score's 2-0.
They just kick you in the shins, Tyler.
So, dude, your freaking Dodgers can win 2-0 too. Cool.
I know, but I'm saying, like, in soccer, it's consistently that. Baseball, it could be 2-0, you're right, but could also be, 14 to.
Can I give you a knock on soccer?
Sure.
Because I just interrupted you anyways.
Yeah,
but I hate how, like, even in, like, the World Cup, it can get determined by, like, a PK. In other words, what is that, a penalty kick?
Yep.
That's like having a hockey Stanley Cup or, like, a World Cup fucking you lose on a shootout goal, which is, like, sometimes an unfair advantage, would you say?
Yeah, and that's
score earlier.
Another reason I was going to talk about. I think we as a country, we hate ties. We hate it. And
we as a country are not patient.
No, we want a winner and a loser, whether it's heartbreak or thrill. We want someone to win and someone to lose. And in soccer, ties are allowed with the exception of World Cup knockout rounds, or any kind of knockout round, any kind of playoff format. They have to go to a PK system because it could be hours and hours before anyone actually.
Yeah, well, let them play. Like hockey had the 5 overtimes this year, and it was great.
Yeah, I think soccer could benefit from something like that, or at least make it a way. I mean, they probably wouldn't allow this because they wouldn't want this, but having less players on the field during overtime, maybe, cut it down by 2 or 3 players, see if that kind of increases scoring a little bit.
That happens with a red card, dude. You play with a man down with a red card. Same thing.
Without red card, though.
Just have it half the field.
But why would they not allow it then? If they do it with a red card, then why would they not allow it?
That's a totally different thing. That's totally different. That's like a power play, but you have it the whole.
What about a green card? Oh, that's not.
Yeah, so get into America.
Anyway, I think the last reason culturally we hate flopping and we hate seeing people with fake injuries.
What about the NBA,
as
bro?
a country.
James just has an argument for everything you're saying.
Then why do we watch basketball?
If you think,
I think James is defending soccer here.
I don't. If you think that basketball players flop more than soccer players, I don't think.
Look at Russ.
Soccer.
Look at James Harden.
Yeah, dude,
Shit.
basketball.
Look at every play.
Here's the thing. In basketball, like when players do that, the fans go, "Why are you doing that?" Like,
they get fined.
And they get fined. In soccer, it's part of the game. It's part of the culture. It's part of strategy.
For men's soccer, not in women's soccer.
I'm okay. Jesus Christ, James. Damn. Okay. So, but it's part of the culture. And like I'm saying, like as Americans, fans watching that, I don't think we like that at all. I think that's part of the problem.
What's the strategy in that?
The strategy is to get the referees to call a foul that's may or may not actually been a foul.
Okay.
Right.
I thought it was like to give him rest or something.
No, because they don't really have reviews like they do in some other sports. So
They
it's
do that VR now, dude.
But in human error, you can have human error, and you know it's part of the game to try and sell the call of the referee, right? Okay, so
Soccer cleats suck though too. They're like paper thin. I remember rolling my ankles multiple times in high school. Maybe that was my fault though. I don't know.
You're just unathletic, bro.
yeah,
But the soccer cleats,
I think
the
that's
materials
your
don't
fault.
ever get them. They're bad.
Yeah. Part of the reason America and our capitalist kind of society, I think that big TV markets don't like soccer because there's not as much advertising opportunity. You know, we got in other sports, you got so many breaks in between action. In soccer, you have halftime. That's about it. So I think for TV markets to want to broadcast soccer, it's just not as lucrative as other sports are. So I think that's going to be a harder sell to get soccer more of big TV markets, more primetime television. Unfortunately, that's just kind of the way that this country works. So let's, James, I know you have a lot to say. So let's start with you. Do you disagree or agree with what I just said about why soccer isn't as popular?
You said like 4 things, didn't you? I agree with the majority of it. The biggest thing is the fact that the US does not lead it, like you said. Like, we're not the best at it. Like, soccer in England in the Premier League, that's top soccer, and there's no way we can beat that. We haven't been playing soccer for a long time, as long as they have, and there's no way we're going to beat that market. Like, people in the US who are soccer fans wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning just to watch the Premier League play. And that's not something we're willing to do. Like, in the US, we have the MLS, then you have like Division 1 and 2. That's pretty much it after that. But they play in small markets. Like, the LA Galaxy play at StubHub, and that's a small stadium. Like, that's where the Chargers play. They used to play. That's a small stadium. It doesn't house nearly as many people. I think part of the other reason why is that you said it's not lucrative. It makes sense. And it costs a lot of money for children to play soccer now, just because of all the fees you have to do, all the different leagues, all the trap. Like, if you want to get good at something in the US, you don't play for your school anymore. It's no longer free. You got to play club sports. You got to play travel teams. You got to do all these that cost a lot of money to get good at it. And I guess people that just don't want to put in that time or effort to do that. And that's the reason why we're not that good. We're not putting resources into developing young soccer players in the United States. And I don't understand why. It's the world's game. Everybody plays it. Literally every country plays it. And I think we should start investing way more into it if you want to be seen on the big stage.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I think those are a lot of good
answer.
points. Alex, as a fan, why do you choose not to watch soccer, or is there like kind of like what's your opinion as a soccer fan? Do you like or dislike about the sport?
I mean, I'll get into the World Cup for sure. Like, I'll get full on in. I will watch as many games as I can, matches. You know, even like for the men's one, you know, the U.S. wasn't in it, but I still watch majority of them. I watch the women's one more closely because you're right. The women's, we're fucking good at it and we win. So I do watch those more often. You know, I think a lot of it too is people won't spend the money to go to a game because it is fun in like when you are there. I mean, even our little Chico State team, like when those teams were good and they were, you know, vying for state championships, like people got into it and it was super fun. And yeah, the flopping is an issue for sure. And it is, James, I would 100% agree with you. The men just milk it and the women will get up and they'll take it and they'll get back up and they'll fight them. I mean, I've seen videos of girls like pulling other girls' hairs after they've hit them. Like, it's gnarly. And then the men cry when nothing has happened. They're really good actors. And I could totally understand how that could, you know, push somebody off of the sport. But there's nothing quite like the end of a soccer match when you're down by a goal and you have to win. And the goalies run, the other team, you know, the team that needs to score, the goalie's running down. That's awesome. Yeah, I love soccer. I don't watch it as much as I used to, but I would, you know, I think people should get more into it.
For sure. Let's talk about a little bit kind of soccer where it is today, especially with, you know, kind of youth sports and people playing it. So since 2012, and this is according to a Forbes article. Yeah, I read Forbes. So this is for Major League Soccer. So Major League Soccer, in case you didn't know, is the domestic league, professional league here in the United States. It's seen a 27% increase in revenue, both from attendance and from TV revenue. So that's the last 8 years or so. It's seen a pretty good increase in interest. They will also expand from 24 to 30 teams in the next 4 years. So they're seeing a pretty big expansion, which is also good news for them. But again, despite the increased success of the MLS in this country, the increased success of our men's international team has not been so good. They didn't even qualify for the last World Cup. Our women's team, on their hand, is kicking absolute ass, and I'm going to talk about them more at the end of this. As far as youth soccer goes, soccer is actually one of the most popular youth sports in the country. In most polls that I looked up, it's always in the top 3 in most played youth sports. Usually behind basketball and baseball are usually the top 3. I personally played soccer, and I think did anyone on this podcast not play soccer as a kid? James, that's it. All right, so 4 to 5 of us all played soccer at least a little bit. I think that was a sport. I remember everyone. I feel like everyone in the school played soccer at one point. Like, it's crazy. Like, I think everyone had their own kind of unique sports, but like everyone played soccer. So I think, and it's interesting to see that, as it's so popular to play when you're a kid, but for some reason when you kind of grow up and it just doesn't become as big of a deal. But I remember playing soccer and not being a big deal, but watching soccer was not a big deal at all. So I think that's just an interesting component there. So Eric, were you a good little soccer player when you were growing up?
I actually was randomly on the Red Rockets in 3rd grade, was like the leading goal.
The Red Rockets.
Yeah. And surprisingly, there was a kid on our team, Traden, you might have heard of him. His name's Rocco Grimaldi. He's on the Nashville Predators, actually. He's in the NHL. He was like super short, and he was just like a little red rocket out there. Actually, I think he was the leading scorer, but he was like our best player. I have a random one thing that kind of gets me away from soccer is like there's so many leagues of it, like, and the Premier League, the English Premier League that James is talking about, isn't there like no playoffs? It's just like whoever has the best record is the winner.
I don't even know.
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Like, there is no playoff for it. It's like whoever has the best, finishes with the best record is like the champion. So like, say, mathematically there's like a few games left, but you have the best record, like you're already the champion. There's no playoff.
You know what's crazy about the Premier League though is that like there's like a Division 1 league and a Division 2 league in the Premier League, and if you're like one of the last 2 teams, the bottom 2 teams in Division 1, you get demoted into the Division 2 league as a team as a whole. So the entire franchise just goes to a different league if you suck, and they promote the top 2 teams from the 2nd league to the 1st league. So it's cutthroat, dude. It's
kind of cool, actually.
It's like the only business where you can get a player and then you can sell that player to a different team for more money. It's odd.
Dude,
just the way that
international soccer players make way more money than any American player in any sport.
Yeah,
based on their contracts. I mean, I know LeBron and everyone makes a crap ton of advertising, but like Cristiano Ronaldo is like the highest paid athlete in the world on those lists all the time.
It's pretty.
And they have like millions of dollars in transfer fees that the athlete doesn't even see. It just goes from team to team, and then they get the huge contract on top of that. So teams are shelling out hundreds of millions of dollars just to get one player. Yeah, crazy.
It's pretty insane how popular soccer is in every other country in the world, and in the US we just don't give a shit. Like, it's so interesting to me how that works. And I mean, the last World Cup, I think, they had 4 billion viewers. That's like half of the world's population. So it is definitely the world's most popular sport. Yeah, clearly. So I want to talk about women's soccer, because I think a lot of all the things I've been saying. Freya, shut up.
You got to edit that part out, bro.
So we're talking about men's soccer as a whole not being successful, but on the other side, U.S. women's soccer has been one of the most successful team sports in the world of all time. I mean, they've been so good. I mean, just a few things here. They won the World Cup in 2015, 2019. 4 overall World Cups. They won 4 Olympic gold medals, most recently in 2012. You know how many gold medals, or actually Olympic medals, the men's team has won? 0. Nothing. Their best finish in a World Cup ever was 3rd place all the way back in 1930.
Oh, good times.
It's just a crazy difference.
Is there no bronze medals they give out?
Yeah, they gave out bronze medals, but we never won one.
They got 3rd place.
No, in the World
Cup.
Oh,
There you go. Lock it in. But yeah, so I think for me personally as a fan, like I've gotten more into soccer in more recent years because of the women's team and because of how good they've been. Again, that kind of speaks to our culture I was talking about earlier. Like we like being the best at stuff. So Trayden, I'm just curious, like has the women's team for you increased your interest in soccer, or has it just, or do you not, does it not matter to you, you know, either way?
Yeah. That's definitely the reason that I'm even interested at all. They're very fun to watch. And you know, I'll watch the World Cup anytime that they're playing. And I think that they're kind of the only reason that I have any interest in the sport, which is pretty limited. But it's all, you know, it's all about them. Those women are amazing.
Pay them, man. Yeah. So real quick, James, I know you work really closely with women's soccer, with your work. I don't want you to, like, you know, speak for them, but how do you think, I don't know if you have a conversation with them at all about this, like how they feel about, you know, soccer not being as popular. Do they even really care? Or is it just, they just like playing the game? They don't really care about the success of soccer in this country? Or do they have, like, are they pretty passionate about wanting to grow the sport more?
It's a bit of both. You got some girls who are extremely passionate about it, who care about the sport, and other girls who are just kind of there because they're good at it. Mm-hmm. The ones who are passionate about it, like Trayden and I have a friend who is on track to play for the national team before getting hurt. So Luli, if you're listening to this, shout out to you. But she's really, really good. And she destroyed both of her ankles playing the sport she loves. And she's passionate about growing the game. So she watches all the games. Like the national team just played recently. I think it was last week. I don't know. A couple days ago, maybe. I didn't know that, but she watched it. And it was like at 9:30 in the morning. So like she wants to grow the game, and she's doing it the best way she can by coaching and helping others succeed and being that voice to help others get to that next level. And on the flip side of that, you have girls who are just playing because they're naturally gifted and they're naturally just good at it, who just want to win now, not really caring about the sport itself. But for sure, like the girls who are really passionate about it, they fight, and they fight hard.
Definitely. I think women's soccer is so much fun to watch. I've, you know, gotten to work closely with both men and women's soccer. They're equally great. I think women sometimes more so. The intensity and the passion that those girls show out there is just unbelievable. It's so much fun to watch. And I've liked soccer. I've grown to like soccer a lot more by working with it. I don't think a lot of people have had that, you know, chance to do that. But I think soccer is a very underrated sport, and I would love to see it grow more. I'm going to try and watch more soccer. I'm going to make that a goal of mine. To, you know, watch more MLS games or watch more international games, and not just make it a once every 4 years kind of thing with the World Cup. So that's kind of all I got about soccer, and yeah.